So I'm wondering today about the afterlife. Um, I used to be a Catholic priest, and I had a big faith crisis in 2006, uh, massive, and it never really resolved the way that I wanted it to. I struggled with. Um, I left in 2007 for a year and came back in 2008, and struggled until I left again in 2018. Struggled in a lot of different ways. And I used to think I understood what the afterlife was all about because I had a platform and I had a plan and I had something handed to me. It's a nice thing about religion, and at least, I mean, there's lots of good things about religion. There's a lot of bad things about religion, but one of the good things about religion is that it hands you the answers to some of those questions. And I guess as long as you don't question them, they can be very satisfying answers. Now, I didn't question the answers. I embraced them, in fact. But my faith crisis in 2006 led me to sort of have a lot of confusion, I guess is a good word, about what happens in the next life. And if there is a next life, frankly, my faith crisis went to that extent. And, that's why I left in '07. Also, I was so bereft of losing my faith that I was going to hurt myself, and I didn't want to do that in front of the people that I served at the parish I was at. So it's one of the reasons I left. So I thought if I'm going to harm myself, I'll do it privately and not as a associate pastor of a place, a young priest. And I had a classmate of mine, guy that lived across the hall from me in seminary, do that. He was a high school teacher in Alabama, just before I left in '07. And I thought, well, it's pretty horrible what he did to those high school kids and his parishioners. I'm not going to do the same thing. So I didn't leave. That's why I left the first time. And I wasn't ready to leave. But so I came back for 10 years. And I was always kind of 1 foot in, 1 foot out. I love the places that I served. I was pastor of actually two inner city Black Catholic churches for 10 years, and ran a lot of social services and renovated buildings, and people were great. I didn't always have integrity, frankly. And they talk about imposter syndrome, but I had it because I was thinking yesterday as I was driving to Lima to see my brother who just had a stroke and an open heart surgery, how I was an imposter in many ways. I didn't necessarily, I preached it very well, but I questioned it very deeply. I guess I'll put it that way. So I have a friend of mine who, and this is the reason I'm wondering about the afterlife right now. I don't know. One of my mantras was bring heaven to earth. I used to preach missions, what they call parish missions in the Catholic Church all over the country. And one of my sort of slogans was "Bring heaven to earth." And the reason I said that is because I wasn't sure if there was an afterlife. I wasn't sure if there was a heaven. But if you spend your time bringing heaven to earth for somebody, and you find out there's a heaven afterward, well, I think you're pretty well set up for that. And if there is no heaven after we die and there's nothing, well, you still lived a good life. It was what's that? Pascal's wager, but my own version of Pascal's wager, right? With the attitude that maybe there wasn't anything else after this. Then I met Jennifer, and then Jennifer, she struggled with that sort of thing too. It's one of the things that bound us together early on in our relationship. Other things bound us together, but that was one of the first things that really bound us together was, and she had a very strong faith tradition as well that she was no longer a part of, just like I did. And she was involved in it and things like that. And then, she struggled with the afterlife as well. I mean, it's not something we really ever, for her, it was a scary thing because of her spiritual tradition. For me, it wasn't so scary. I kind of came to terms with death a little bit after I left the priesthood. Actually, it was somewhat easier to deal with death after I left the priesthood for some reason. Then I had to deal with death because Jennifer died. And she got sick, and I knew probably I was going to lose her way earlier than I wanted to. Even if she made it through this cancer, this is what happened. She made it through the first round of cancer, and it never came back on that side. But then it jumped over to the other side of her face almost immediately. So she almost immediately had a recurrence within weeks of finishing her treatment on the right side of her face. And then I was with her when she passed. And then, is she still here? I feel her presence, but is that my brain? I see things that remind me of her, and is that her saying hi, or is it just my brain? And then I have a friend who's into some kind of woo-woo spirituality, as they call it. I mean, everybody is entitled to their spirituality, so I don't want to denigrate it at that point. But she does things like develops her psychic abilities and communes with is a medium and stuff like that. Stuff I don't really practice or really even think of very much. I have a great intuition. Sometimes my intuition feels like I'm psychic, but I also know that I'm pretty good at recognizing patterns in things. So I don't think that there's any. I don't know if there's any latent psychic ability, if that even exists. I do know that I'm intuitive in the sense of like my gut tells me a lot of things that turn out to be true, but I also kind of apply them to, I know how life works at almost 49 years old. So, I've recognized the patterns. I've been good at that my whole life. But at any rate, she said that she communicated with Jennifer, and I wasn't really sure, like, what does that mean? And I said, well, I miss her. So some part of me was like, well, what did she have to say? Expecting some pretty generic things, sort of like horoscope stuff. Horoscopes are often very generic, and tarot cards are generic. And a lot of tarot cards are things like, cold reading, which is something I know how to do, so that's another reason I sometimes wonder about being psychic anyway, because of cold reading. You get really good at cold reading, it feels like you're psychic a little bit. And most of it was kind of general, like my mission is done, and, I care about you very much, and I love you very much, and things of that nature. But there was something, and I won't say what it is, there was something uniquely specific to Jennifer. Like something that wasn't just, something that isn't universal. Something that was very specifically her that came out of what my friend had to say. And it kind of blew my mind a little bit. And I don't know what to do. I don't know how to deal with it. I don't know what to do or what to say about it. It was very, very, very specific and very correct. And I'm like, what does that even mean to hear that? The rest of it was nice. It's, the message was, she still lays in bed with me at night, and she's still here making sure I'm okay. And there's some days I'm okay. I'm okay today, and some days I'm not okay. Last week, the whole week, I was not okay. This week I'm doing okay. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know what to make of that. What do you think? I mean, if anybody's watching this, and maybe you're going to watch it in years to come, and who knows. But what do you think of all this? I don't know what to think. That's why I'm wondering about it today. So you keep wondering too. You tell me what you think about this. I certainly have my spiritual baggage to carry from my own faith tradition and from my own faith crisis and from, my own exploration of life. And it would be nice if it was just easy. It'd be nice if it was just, it was easy when I had faith. It was easy before my faith crisis because it was just handed to you and you just accepted it and it made you feel some comfort. But anyway, keep wondering.